In today's video, we will look at a couple of problems associated with conservation of energy. Problem 1. A loop of flexible chain, the one shown in red, whose weight is W, rests on a smooth right circular cone of radius r and height h. The chain rests in a horizontal circle on the cone, so it's right there. The axis of the cone is vertical, so the axis is like that. What is the tension T in the chain? Friction can be neglected in your calculation. So this involves conservation of energy. What happens here? You need to identify first the initial state and the final state. Before that, you need to know what's going on. So eventually the chain is resting there. So that is the final state. That means initially it was dropped from that point. Thus, that is the initial state. Since this is a flexible chain, so it goes all the way vertically downward, and as it does so, its radius gradually change like that until it gets to the final state. So we assume that at the very top the radius is 0. At the final state, the final location where the chain is resting, the radius can be taken to be little r. So how do we apply conservation of energy here? Now let's look at the change in kinetic energy. It is dropped from rest. So here, where it started, the speed is 0 meter per second. Eventually it comes to rest, so the speed there is 0 meter per second. So there is no change in kinetic energy. Now what about the change in potential energy? Let's look at the gravitational potential energy. Initially it is at the top, a higher altitude, and finally the altitude is reduced. So that means the gravitational potential energy of this flexible chain decreases as it travels from the initial state to the final state. Since we are dealing with a flexible chain, as it gets down, the tension builds up in that chain. So that would contribute elastic potential energy to it. And this elastic potential energy increases as it gets from the initial state to the final state. So let's write everything out in equation form. In initial state, it has only the gravitational potential energy. Now, if you take the gravitational potential energy there to be 0, then the gravitational potential energy at the initial state is given by mass times gravity. So mass times gravity is the weight of this chain times this entire height, h. We note that at the initial state the radius of this chain is 0, so it does not have any elastic potential energy. So 0. As it descends to the final state, its gravitational potential energy becomes reduced, and that is the mass times gravity, which is again the weight, times the new height, the height there as marked. Let's call it y. So it becomes Wy. Now the elastic potential energy. Elastic potential energy there is obviously non-zero because the flexible chain now is stretched. It is stretched because of the effect of tension. So that means you can write the elastic potential energy at the final state. The magnitude of that must be the same as the work done by the tension. So tension times the displacement or the amount of stretch of that elastic chain. And if the radius there is r, the entire length of that flexible chain signifies the stretch. So it is 2 pi r. Remember, at the initial state, the radius of the flexible chain is taken to be 0. So at that point, we can take the entire dimension of this flexible chain to be 0, theoretically. So let's substitute this term in here, plus t 2 pi r. Basically, what this equation is saying is the drop in the gravitational potential energy can be accounted for by the exact amount of increase in the elastic potential energy. Let's rearrange this equation a little. So WH minus Y, where Y is the vertical location of that flexible chain measured from the ground where the gravitational potential energy is 0, equals tension times 2 pi r. Note again, we are interested in calculating this tension. Now let's rely a little bit on geometry of the system. Now this is the axis of that cone. So that means this angle here is alpha, let's assume. So this length, which is capital H minus Y, that minus that, over r, little r, so H minus Y over little r, has got to be the same as this entire length, which is capital H over the radius of that cone, capital R, because what these terms reflect is 1 over tangent alpha, which is a constant. Now let's use this equation. Inside of that, you can bring this little r to this side, and that becomes WH minus Y over little r equals T times 2 pi. However, we know H minus Y over little r equals capital H divided by capital R. So you can simply write WH over capital R equals 2 pi tension. And now you can solve the tension in terms of the given quantities. So it becomes the weight of that flexible chain times H, which is the height of the cone, divided by 2 pi times the radius of the base of the cone. So this is the answer that we seek. Let's do some numerical exercise here. Let's assume the weight is 10 newtons. The height of the cone is 35 centimeters, and the radius of the cone is 15 centimeters. So what is the numerical value for tension in this case? So you substitute all these numbers inside. The weight is 10. Capital H is 35 cm, so 0.35 meters, divided by 2 pi times radius. So radius is 15 cm, or 0.15 meters, which will give you an answer of about 3.7 newtons for the tension. And that solves the problem. Problem 2. In the system shown, a pendulum bob of mass 100 grams, so that is this one, is initially held in vertical position by a thread, P. When the thread is cut, the pendulum is released. It swings to the left and barely reaches the ceiling at its maximum swing. Find the mass capital M. You may neglect the radius of the pulley, the friction, and treat the masses as having no finite size. So the diagram shows the initial state. The little m mass is at that level. The capital M mass is at that level. And both of them are at rest. Now let's see what happens when you cut this thread. When you cut that thread, the pendulum would start to swing because this portion of the string will pull the pendulum to the left. At the same time, the capital M will go down. So for example, if the little m mass is, let's say, here, the thread that is connecting it to the ceiling will be like that, and that string would hold it like that, and this M, the capital M, would have gone down a little bit, downward. And this happens until this little m gets to that location, because we are told that it barely reaches the ceiling at its maximum swing, so pretty close to the ceiling. So what that means is that 3-meter rope, or the string it connects, would be like that, and this part of the string would be the balance, like that. This part is 3 meters, it's the same as that. If the entire length is 4, so that means this has got to be 1 meter. Originally, the diagonal part has a length of 5 meters, but now it reduces into 1. What that means is the capital M must have gone down by a distance of 4 meters, because original 5 minus the final 1 is indeed 4. They all come to rest at the end. So that means the change in kinetic energy is of course 0, and since delta K plus delta U is 0, delta U has got to be 0. When we say U, we are talking about the gravitational potential energy. So the change in the gravitational potential energy of the little m plus the change in the gravitational potential energy of capital M must be 0. So let's work this thing out first. The little m goes from here to that level. That means its vertical coordinate increases by 3 meters. So its gravitational potential energy increases by m times g times 3. Positive. So that is this. Now at the same time, for capital M, it descends by a distance of 4 meters. So the change is negative for capital M, and that is given by capital M times g times the distance of 4 meters, and they should sum up to 0. G goes away, and you can solve for capital M. So 4 times capital M equals 3 times little m. So capital M is 3 over 4 times little m. We are told that little m is 100 grams. So this is 100 grams. So that means the capital M is 3 over 4 times 100, which is 75 grams. Thank you for watching.